Friday, May 15th, at the time of this recording. If you're watching this live on Twitch, you fucking rock. If you're not, you're watching this on YouTube, you also rock, but come listen to us on Twitch anyways. You'll get these before they're uploaded to YouTube. That is twitch.tv/The Shoot Style Sauna. It is me, Papa Steam, sounding a little better. I finally have a microphone. Just kind of chilling this morning. With the next big WWE main roster pay-per-view being Backlash, and it's probably going to suck a lot of knobs, and we're not talking about In Your House for an NXT TakeOver. Don't worry, we'll get there later. However, I decided to watch Backlash 2003 for this episode of the Classic Pay-Per-View Review. What happened when The Rock decided to leave WWE full-time to go be a movie star, and they decided, you know what? Bill Goldberg's the right man to do it. This took place April 27th, 2003 in the Worcester Centrum, now known as the DCU Center in Worcester, Massachusetts. A little over 10,000 in attendance. Both commentary teams, Raw had the Coach and Jerry Lawler. No JR for this show. It's a little upsetting. And Michael Cole and Taz for SmackDown. I am going to attempt to find the rest of my notes in terms of storylines. This show, just overall as a whole, before I get really into it, was eh. It was pretty eh. So let's start with match number 1. For the WWE Tag Team titles, it is Team Angle as Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin defending against Eddie and Chavo Guerrero. I completely forgot about Team Angle and how they would bring a portrait of Kurt Angle with his gold medals to the ring for all of their matches. Super funny. Also, around this time, this was the first big pay-per-view moment for Haas and Benjamin. And commentators really played that up. They how fresh they are. You know, they just won the WWE Tag titles not too long ago, and they play up like the wrestling acumen and kind of give them like a tail of the tape moment, which was very nice. Shelton Benjamin, of course, being a former wrestling buddy of Brock Lesnar's at the University of Minnesota. Go him. We love that for him. And there's a lot of mat wrestling in this, which I found really great. Eddie Guerrero and Charlie Haas really go at each other with mat wrestling, and it's very entertaining to see, especially in a time like 2003 where there really wasn't a lot of it. That's just me. One thing I did notice about this match, there are a lot of illegal tags. Like, the other guy would just come on in without making a tag, and the ref would kind of just allow it. You know, if you're going to, I know that's a big Vince McMahon rule, but if you're going to, do a tag match properly, and the ref is just not going to do his job, it just kind of takes away from the match. And don't get me wrong, the match was a great start. They immediately hit that, big Team Angle, Benjamin hops over Charlie Haas on the rope move. I don't know if it had, a name, but it always looks fantastic. And Shelton Benjamin this is where, he's incredibly athletic right now. Giant double leg takedown spinebuster by Charlie Haas, and they really play up how powerful that double leg takedown is, and again, that more wrestling acumen, to a T-bone suplex by Shelton Benjamin to a 2 count. Haas has this backbreaker on Eddie that he gets out of and turns to a giant Hurricanrana, which is awesome. Hot tag to Chavo, House of Fire, giant brainbuster to a 2 count. Shelton Benjamin hits a ridiculously stiff powerbomb to Chavo, almost Brock Lesnar-esque. The Three Amigos to Charlie Haas, and now is when the ref starts to really care that Eddie is not the legal man. And it's kind of stupid. If you're going to do that, do it for both teams and do it, all the time instead of only when it matters, apparently. But regardless, frog splash by Eddie, and the ref berates Eddie, and he's like, hey, you're not the legal man. Shelton yanks Chavo off the pin. He tries to suplex Haas, but Shelton Benjamin on the outside grabs his leg from underneath and holds it down while Haas pins him, and Team Angle retains the tag titles. While there was a lot of cheating in this match, and I wouldn't go about that for, it's a Guerrero match. I lie, cheat, steal. Could you imagine? I'm going to give this match 3 stars out of 5. It was a really good opener. It was very fast-paced, a lot of mat wrestling. I can get around the whole, the legal man not enforcing that. At times, it kind of took over, but I wasn't too angry about it, but great match. Right after the match, Guerrero's hit a top rope plancha, and they steal the tag titles, and they run off with them in the Lowriders. That's just hilarious, and I think that's kind of the gist of what happened after that. They kind of just, did their thing. I think the Guerreros did win the tag titles shortly after. I actually don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, then we get a backstage segment. This is one of a few backstage segments regarding Test and Tori Wilson. And I'm just going to say this. This is the kind of vibe that I got from it, is because this is a show in 2003 where, you can get away with doing creepy material and content about a man being obsessive over, not only the woman he's dating, but also try to cheat on her and be gross and creepy and aggressive. You try doing that in 2020, that shit's not working. But, he's trying to hit on her, and she's like, leave me alone. He forces them to kiss. It's very gross. It really does not stand the test of time. The next match, it is Sean O'Haire versus Rikishi. I don't know about you, I completely forgot about Sean O'Haire. I forgot that he existed as a person. I cared so little for him. I don't think I watched any of his stuff in WCW or when he was part of the Alliance or whatever. But yeah, Sean O'Haire. I had a joke planned, and then I didn't, and I was looking at his stuff. Anyways, Sean O'Haire was accompanied by Rowdy Roddy Piper. I also don't remember that, but Piper, he's been feuding with Rikishi as of his history, feuding with, Rikishi's relatives and Haku and Wild Samoans, and, he comes to the ring holding a basket of coconuts. Subtle racism is just so not funny in the slightest. He introduces his new client, the new millennium, Sean O'Haire. Assault on the outside immediately. Rikishi just starts going off. He has an immediate Samoan drop. The crowd is so not into this match that they're booing something off screen. Something happened in the crowd where everyone just kind of turned away from it. And, it really just, no one cared for this match. And I'll agree, I didn't care for this match either, but they were not interested. Rikishi goes for a stink face, but O'Haire kind of puts his feet right against Rikishi's ass and just, throws him off. Pretty innovative, I will give him that. That was kind of cool. Piper comes in the ring and tries to hit Rikishi with a coconut, and just misses, and they both, big boot themselves. I'm not sure if that was planned, but They did. Rikishi takes that coconut, hits it off Rowdy Roddy Piper. O'Haire hits his weird, twisting Samoan drop finisher to win. And Sean O'Haire he looks kind of decent. I'm going to give it 1.5 stars. I think it is one of the weaker matches on the whole show. I think it is the weakest based on what I've remember. Just nothing special, and the fact that the crowd really was not into this is kind of what took away. Rikishi would go on to, have the career he had, and I don't know if he was around too much longer. I know he still had, he was with Scotty 2 Hotty for a while. Sean O'Haire did not last too long in the company, and I think he left around 2004, if I'm reading this right. In 2004, where he would go to New Japan, and he kind of did his stuff until 2006, and then he kind of just quit wrestling, and then in 2014, he took his own life. That is a sad portion of that. But Sean O'Haire really did not too much happen in his career. And then we get more of this backstage creepy weird nonsense segments. Stacy Keibler, who was the girlfriend of Test, and then Sable, who's trying to sabotage friendships. The only saving grace of this, the only funny moment, is Sable coming in and looking at Stacy and saying, I know we've never met. Stacy immediately drops everything and just goes, "Hi, pleasure to meet you." Fucking hilarious. I loved that. It was just the right amount of stupid. But yeah, the backstage segments, they're dumb. It's stupid. Next up for the World Tag Team titles, it is the defending champions Kane and Rob Van Dam versus the Dudley Boys with Chief Morley, formerly known as Val Venus, as a special referee. Also, before the match starts, Raw's announcer or like in ring. I'm having a stroke on the word. The announcer is Howard Finkel, and just a quick RIP to Howard Finkel. You were the voice of wrestling forever. Just how it is. A lot of the story is, Chief Morley had the tag titles with his partner Lance Storm, and then they had it taken away because of the Bischoff administration. And he's just doing his best to try and get him back, so the commentators play up how you don't know what side Chief Morley's going to side with. Does he want the titles off Kane and RVD? Does he want Dudley Boyz to lose? He's a wild card at this point. So yeah. Bubba and RVD do a great beginning sequence, and Bubba also does Rob Van Dam's Rob Van Dam taunt, which is just hilarious for Bubba Ray Dudley, and it's fucking funny. Tagging to Kane. Kane is immediately big booting people, and in a very early "We want tables" chant. Clearly, the fans in 2003 only want violence. Could you imagine? RVD is incredibly athletic here, way more so than he is today in Impact. Just how it is, split-legged moonsault, and he's hitting just all of his flippy shit. Morley's distracted, and you get the giant "what up" by the Dudleys, and then they double team RVD for a while, and then is where the shit goes down. Hot tag to Kane, and he is a house of fire. Do you get the joke? He hits a sidewalk slam. Giant big boots. RVD hits a diving knee to Devon. Rolling thunder to Bubba. Big top rope neck breaker by Devon, which goes into Kane diving into a clothesline. All within the span of about 90 seconds. There's a lot going on. It blew my mind. And up until this point, Chief Morley, as your special ref, was doing fine. He was pretty much calling it down the middle. And then Kane's about to chokeslam Bubba Ray Dudley, and Morley hits a low blow. But there's a 2 count. And this is where Morley just decides, you know what? Fuck it. He tries to clothesline RVD, but he hits Bubba, and Devon gets mad. And then out comes his partner, Lance Storm, who shows up and just rinses Devon, but eats a Bubba bomb. 3D to Morley. Chokeslam by Kane to Bubba Ray Dudley. RVD hits a 5-star frog splash, and the new referee comes down and counts the 3 as Kane and Rob Van Dam retain. Holy shit, a lot happened here. I'm going to give this match 3.5 stars out of 5. I really like this match. It was incredibly fast-paced, and they fit a lot into 13 minutes. And I think it worked. I think it worked very well. Kane and RVD would hold the tag titles until I forget when. I know that when they lost them was when Kane unmasked, and that's a whole thing that I didn't care for. Anyways, guess what time it is now? It's our favorite bit. It's more backstage bullshit. As now, there's a cat fight between Stacy and Tori. Could you imagine wrestling right now? They're like, holy shit, you kissed my boyfriend? No, I didn't. He kissed me. I hate wrestling sometimes. And speaking of women, your next match is for the WWE Women's Championship as Trish Stratus defends against Jazz, who is accompanied by Theodore Long. I also forgot Theodore Long accompanied Jazz, because 2003 was right around the time that I started watching wrestling, and then I would be on and off until today. I still don't watch a ton right now. But Jazz, the self-proclaimed bitch on a mission, had previously attacked Trish on the Go Home Raw and hit her what she calls the bitch plex, which is just dumb, onto a table. And Trish is, she got hurt ribs, and apparently medical was like, you're not fully clear, but like, fuck it, who cares? Anyways, Trish is very fast-paced, and Jazz kind of like stops that fast pace immediately and hits that bitch plex and just goes off on the ribs, and it's just Jazz doing Jazz shit. This is surprisingly the second classic pay-per-view with Jazz involving a women's title match, and they both have the same results. Go them. I already lost my train of thought. that's okay. She tries to take off one of like the middle buckle pads, but the ref is like, no, not today. Trish goes for a pin, but the ref is just so distracted, and Trish hits a giant stratosphere, which this is a great counter. Is trying to go with a stratosphere where the legs go up while she's on the while Jazz is on the turnbuckle, but she catches it into a single leg crab as she jumps off the turnbuckle. It was really cool. And then multiple pin reversals, and then Trish with the grossest Boston Crab ever, but she transitions that into an SDF. It was a lot of good, actual wrestling transitioning. Hits a giant chick kick to a 2 count. More action, stratisfaction, but Teddy throws a shoe at Trish, and he tries to play it off. It's like, no, a fan took his shoe off and threw it. I wouldn't do no such thing. Holla holla. Trish is distracted. Jazz catches her in a roll-up, and Teddy helps her, and Jazz wins, and she's the new women's champion. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. The match was fine. I wish it went a little bit longer. That's just me. I think 5 minutes is a little too short for a title match, but I get 2003. It wasn't great for the women's. I thought that match was fine. And now here's where the show kind of takes another dive into gross. It is Rey Mysterio versus The Big Show. It's very, David versus Goliath, and they really play it off. Rey Mysterio is still pretty new to WWE. I think he's only been there about a year at this point. And Big Show, this is when Big Show really was not in the best of shape, so he was very slow moving. Match starts out pretty comedy, Rey Mysterio just bouncing off of Big Show and just selling like a madman. Big Show, cool monster, giant, strong man spot. Mysterio's on the outside. He almost like palms him. He grabs his head just one-handed and just lifts him by his head into the ring. Fucking weird. And then tries to press slam him, and Mysterio's like 10 feet in the air. Mysterio lands on his feet and tries to get some offense in, but it's all Big Show right now. Mysterio grabs a chair as Show gets a little cocky and throws the ref, and chair shot right to the fucking dome piece into almost a seated senton to a 2 count. And then 619 Party hits him, hit 619 right to the dick, and then to the back of the knees, and then hits a full one a third time, goes for the West Coast pop, but is caught by a choke slam, and Big Show wins. This match did not have a lot of offense, and 3.5 minutes is kind of a joke. However, I still give it 2 stars. For what we did get, it was okay. I wish it got a little longer. This is the show that after the match, Mysterio is put on a stretcher because he got chokeslammed from 10 feet. I'm assuming it's some just playing it up. And Big Show's like, no, I'm a giant. He comes down. This is the show where he takes the stretcher and kind of hits the stretcher off the turnbuckle, and Ray just bounces headfirst off the concrete. It's very hard to watch, and Ray probably got a giant concussion. So yeah, I don't know what it's like fucking Rey Mysterio just getting beat up lately. This show, he gets basically concussed out of his brains. On Raw, he gets his eye stabbed into the steps, and he gets thrown off of a roof and choked out by Shayna Baszler. Rey Mysterio just can't catch a break. He is just getting beat up nonstop. Next, the WWE Championship match between the defending champion Brock Lesnar and John Cena. John Cena is still quite new, so he's still the doctor of thugonomics, and a lot of this is him kind of rapping his way. There was a number 1 contenders tournament, where he beat I already forget. He beat Eddie Guerrero, he beat The Undertaker, and he beat redacted Chris Benoit to earn this shot at Backlash. And Brock Lesnar is Brock Lesnar. That's about it. That's about all I need to say for that. So Cena raps during his entrance about old legends that were previous champions, and just makes, good Kurt Angle jokes and Hulk Hogan jokes and all the memes and stuff. But Lesnar starts out white hot as soon as he gets in. This is really athletic, Brock. We're a year from him leaving to try to go to the NFL, but he is insanely athletic. A lot of mat wrestling, a lot of suplexes, a lot of him kind of slowing the pace down to something that would meet his style right now. Lesnar does press slam John Cena, which is insanity. Clotheslines him out of the ring, and they just starts battering him on the outside. They just kind of go at each other. Cena's throwing him into steps. He does hold the belt to kind of taunt him to the crowd. Bad idea. That's a curse, my friend. And he rips off the bandage that was on Lesnar's forehead, and it cuts him back open. There's a mid-rope diving leg drop by Cena as Lesnar's on the apron, and he falls to the outside. And Cena kind of slows down a bit. Solid spine buster, and then a lot more mat wrestling, a lot of long holds. And you kind of see just how green John Cena is and how he hasn't really figured out his wrestling yet. This match is, I don't want to say botchy, but is definitely one that's not very fluid. It's a lot of Lesnar trying to compensate for the fact that Cena, doesn't remember some sequences, and Cena's just kind of like half-assing it a bit. And there's a lot of moments where you think something was supposed to happen, and then Lesnar just kind of like corrects it. Cena low blows to Lesnar for a 2 count. There's one of those like jumping overhead neck breakers to a 2 count. Lesnar drives into the corner, so his neck skips past the buckle and almost hits the pole on the outside, and that's hilarious. Cena tries to grab the padlock. The ref takes it away from him, but he's caught into an F5 and a 3 count, and Lesnar retains. Still going to give this match 3 stars, while it was kind of sloppy at times, and, Cena would kind of get into his own a little bit more, but right now he just wasn't there at that time. Match was fine. I wish it was a little bit faster. It was very slow, a lot more mat wrestling, very long chokeholds, but overall I thought it was decent. Cena would go on to kind of do his thing. WrestleMania 20 is where he would win his first singles title a year from then, which would be the United States title off the Big Show. And speaking of the Big Show, Brock Lesnar would feud with Big Show right after this, and that involved Paul Heyman doing his thing, and then blah 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 and all that. Your semi-main event of the evening as a 6-man tag as the World Heavyweight Champion Triple H, Ric Flair, and the self-proclaimed King of the World, Chris Jericho, goes against Booker T, Shawn Michaels, and the returning Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is he just came back. He's kind of off his his WCW stint and his NWO and WWE stint. And he kind of comes out and he sees Hunter, and Hunter's like, well, you can team with me, or you can be an asshole, essentially. And Nash decides, you know what, I'm going to be an asshole. But he's not the asshole. He's the face, really. Also, just something I want to point out. I don't know what Booker T's new weird dubbed entrance was. I don't know if that was something he was using. Go ahead and watch that back on the show. It's a weird theme, and I'm not sure if it was just because it was dubbed on the network or if it's just how it was. It's gross. I don't like it. Jericho and Michaels kind of start. That's the real heat that they have. That's the feud going on. Incredibly back and forth, and a lot of this is Kevin Nash just kind of egging on Triple H to be like, come on, let's fight now. Triple H is like, no, I would not like to fight you. You are large. And then whenever Booker T and Triple H are in the ring, and this is what makes the match kind of gross, and we all hate Jerry Lawler's fucking commentary around this time, but it is overtly racist. He tries to talk about, the backgrounds of Booker T and Triple H and how Triple H grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, and as someone who lived in Connecticut, yeah, Greenwich is nice, don't get me wrong. And then it's like how Booker T, was a thug or whatever. It's just, and Coach is trying to cover this up and do his best. But Lawler's saying things like, Coach, I know you're a fan of Booker T. And we're like, oof, it's quite racist. Match wasn't super fast paced. But like everyone got their moves pretty fucking immediately. Triple H hitting spine busters. Michaels and Flair get some good action. Even hits a switch in music on Flair, which is then caught into a pedigree by Hunter and Michaels to a 2 count. Triple H and Jericho start targeting Michael's knee. No. Oh, yeah, I was right. I got that. Don't listen to me. I'm dumb. Yeah, and that whole team just kind of starts going off on the knee, and then hot tag to Kevin Nash, and then here's where the crowd really gets into it, because he's like, oh shit, it time, I get to beat up people. Yeah, powerhouse energy. Favorite line on commentary, coach says that Nash is over 300 pounds of Nash. I don't know what that means, but it's funny. Flair tries to do his, classic woo chops to Nash, and he just straight up no-sells it, and it's hysterical, because Flair is just losing his fucking mind. Goes for a jackknife, but a drop kick by Jericho, and it's just a massive brawl of all six for a while. Everyone's getting their finishers in. Scissors kick to Jericho. There's a spin-a-rooney. Jerry Lawler says Booker T's dad invented the limbo. Is there a racist joke from that? I don't know, but I'm just going to assume it. Nash throws Flair into the ref, jackknife to Jericho. Triple H runs in with a sledgehammer, bonks Nash around the fucking dome piece, and that's the end apparently. And Team Triple H wins. A very rushed ending, you might say. Still gonna give it 3 stars. It was still fine. Ending was rushed, but everyone got their stuff in, and it was fine. Yeah, that's about all I've got for this, really. Your main event of the evening, your star show, is The Rock versus Goldberg. And this is where all the feud was going, is that Rock had come back, and he was Hollywood, and he was, peak heel. He was just ripping on crowds, and he was like, fuck it, I've done everything. I've beaten everyone. I beat Austin. I beat Undertaker. I beat Michaels. I beat Angle. I've beaten, insert a 5th person, because there probably was a 5th person. He said, there's nothing else that I haven't done yet. And then Bill Goldberg comes out on that episode of Raw and says, well, you're next, my boy, and spears the absolute tar out of him. And that's kind of it. It's that Goldberg just kind of, hey, I'm here now. I like to beat people up. And this is Goldberg's first match in WWE, and this would be Rock's last, if that wasn't a spoiler already. As after this, Rock would go on to fully go Hollywood, and he would make sporadic appearances later, but this is the end of Rock's real run. Right before the match, The Rock cuts one of his great comedy heel promos, and even calls out Terry Runnels, the interviewer, for almost corpsing and just be like, "Don't laugh, I'm being serious." It's hilarious. And if there's one thing you watch from this show, you should watch that. The match is incredibly slow to start, which I wouldn't put past a Bill Goldberg match. A lot of showmanship, a lot of Rock taunting. There's some big shoves, and Rock is just selling like a madman. It's a combination of... It's not as bad as Lesnar Goldberg at WrestleMania 20, but it's had the same feel as Michaels Hogan from SummerSlam 05. It's a combination of the two. It's where, because you knew Rock was leaving... And even Rock knew he was leaving, where he spends the whole match taunting. There's not a lot of offense in this. It's a lot of mind games, a lot of stare downs. Goldberg hits a rock bottom, hilariously, and waits like a fucking predator for a hefty spear, but runs right into the fucking corner like an idiot. Rock locks in a gross sharpshooter. His offense, from what I wrote down, his offense is very lackadaisical. He just doesn't care. He's just for the taunting. His offense is a joke. Rock throws the ref, and just... funniest bit is Goldberg's on the ground right after the sharpshooter. Rock throws the ref, opens Bill Goldberg's legs, and just straight up punches him in the dick. Just a straight downward dick punch. Hilarious. But Goldberg apparently no-sells it and goes in for a giant spear, and Jonathan Coachman says it was a spear by Goldberg. Yes, he says Goldberg. That's funny. Rock tries to go for a bunch of clotheslines, but you can't drop him. Rock hits his own spear, hits a kip up, and just kind of taunts him, hits a rock bottom to a 2 count. And then it's a bunch of finishes, it's spinebuster, people's elbow, and another 2 count. The crowd starts chanting bullshit, and I agree. As soon as you hit the people's elbow, it should be over. But Goldberg gets up, spear number 2, and he just waits in the corner, and Rock is selling it, just screaming shit, and he is really selling it. He gets up super slowly, and Goldberg spears Rock almost out of his fucking shoes, jackhammer, and Goldberg has won. It was kind of a joke of a match, but whatever. As a spectacle, I would give it 4 stars, but that's not what I'm giving this match. I'm giving this match 2.5 stars. As a spectacle, was great, because you're like, well, we knew Rock was going to leave, and it does make Goldberg kind of look good, but holy cow, it's so slow, and you can tell Rock does not care in the slightest. And that's where we fade to black. So my final grade for Backlash 2003 is an even C. What the stuff that was good was fine. The stuff that was bad was kind of fucking stupid. But it was the show just felt like an overall eh. There wasn't a lot of like substance to it. The main event kind of left me wanting more, but there really wasn't. It's just who cares really. The longest match of the night was almost 18 minutes, and that was the 6-man tag, followed very closely by Team Angle and the Guerreros. It's just it was my match of the night was the World Tag Title match. This is the first classic pay-per-view I think we've had where the match of the night wasn't either a main event or a semi-main event. The World Tag Title match, Kane and Rob Van Dam versus the Dudleys, I thought it was incredibly fast-paced. I thought there was a lot of storytelling, and, for being 13 minutes, they got a lot in there, and it worked really well. So if there is one match you want to watch from this show, it is that match. And my MVP is The Rock. While he did make a garbage performance, it was entertaining at least. He really got the crowd working. His heel promo right before was awesome. And I think he kind of stole the show, even though he left immediately afterwards to go out and probably film Mummy Returns. And Goldberg was kind of a joke. Yeah. So that's it for Backlash 2003. Hope you all enjoyed. Comment below, or just message me on Twitter at I already forgot what my wrestling Twitter is. I'm so stupid today. Message me on Twitter at Tim_the3count what the next classic pay-per-view review should be. Next time on the classic pay-per-view review, we will have Eric back on to do, since NXT TakeOver did announce In Your House, let's do it In Your House pay-per-view review. Eric will be doing In Your House Mind Games, which I believe is In Your House 10. I could be wrong. The next video will either be the next episode of the podcast, or will be the next episode 2 of the Writer's Room, which is King Billy Gunn. And wow, that was just not fun to write. But yeah, I'm Papa Steam, and that is it for the sauna. We will close our doors, and we will see you on the flippity flips.